Okay, welcome everybody to the CIL Disability Resource Center presentation of Easy Tips on Hurricane Preparedness. I'm Danny Broxson. I'll be your tech host and wanted to go over a few housekeeping issues and items before we start and before I turn it over to our presenter. I'd like to ask that you all, I think we've all done this already, is go ahead and make sure that your camera is turned off, and also that you remain muted until the appropriate time. And this will help keep down the buffering and make sure that the best possible sound quality is available for everybody. When it is time to ask questions, or if you have questions, we're going to save those questions until the end, and at any time you can put something in the chat, and then we'll cover those questions at the end. If you are attending by telephone, you can mute and unmute yourself by simply hitting *6 on your phone to unmute yourself. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to our Advocacy Outreach Coordinator, Joanne Pearson.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Danny said, my name is Joanne Pearson. I am the Advocacy Outreach Coordinator here at CIL Disability Resource Center. I am giving the presentation today, and we also have Carolyn Growi, our Executive Director, joining us to present as well today, and Laura George with Stormtroopers is on the line, and she will be talking at towards the end of our presentation as well. So why don't we dig right in, and we're going to move to the next slide and start with our presentation. We have four parts to our presentation. We're going to talk about how to prepare for a hurricane. We're going to talk about what happens during a storm, the aftermath and damage assessment that comes after the storm, and we're going to talk about a few resources that we can offer you. Of course, this presentation is not all inclusive. We're just kind of giving you some highlights. There's much more information that you can gain about preparing for a hurricane, and we'll give you some places to go to as we move through our presentation. So let's talk about how to prepare. First of all, how are you going to know that a hurricane or an emergency is coming your way? Well, each county has a department called Emergency Management, and they will put out emergency alerts, and you can get them on your smartphone. You can get them on, of course, the weather radio if you have one, and there's different ways that you're going to be alerted. Some counties have you sign up for their alert system. I know here in Escambia, where we're located, where our office is located, you can go to their website, which is bereadyescambia.com, and you can click on their alert icon and sign up to get their alerts. They'll come on your cell phone or on your smartphone. But nationally, there is what we call WEAs, and they're weather wireless emergency alerts. And if there is a severe emergency in your area or even nationally, that alert will automatically come onto your phone and alert you of what next steps you need to take. So be aware of that. Those are the severe alerts that you might get for the area. Next slide. So now we're going to talk about, of course, step one in preparing your emergency plan would be gathering supplies. There's several steps to making a plan, and of course you have to make an emergency kit. Now there's three types of kits that we're going to talk about here. One you're going to keep at home, one you're going to keep at work, and one you're going to keep in your car. Of course, your home kit is your main kit that you're going to develop. It has enough supplies of food and water, and of course clothing, for 3 to 7 days, because of course if you're caught in an emergency personnel may not be able to get to you for those first few days. anywhere from 3 to 7 days, you may be without utilities, water, so on and so forth. And so you've kind of got to fend for yourself. So you want to be prepared. So as you create your kit, your entire family should know where it is, and you should decide in your plan who's going to grab the kit to make sure that it's easy access to grab, okay? No matter if it's at home, work, or in your car. So your work kit should be one small container. It should contain food and water, a change of clothes. Don't forget shoes and a coat. You want to make sure that you're in layers because you don't know if it's going to be cold, hot, raining, not raining. So be prepared for those conditions. For in your car, of course, another container of food and water. Do dry goods, canned goods, things like that will keep. Have a first aid kit, some flares. Always have some jumper cables in case something happens to your vehicle and you become disabled in your vehicle. You want to be able to get help if you can. Think about the seasons, seasonal supplies like winter blankets, maybe getting one of those foil blankets. They're lightweight, but they definitely keep you warm. So be considerate about the seasonal things that you might need. Next. This slide talks about important emergency information. Now, when you're preparing your kit, if you're a person with a disability or even just, anybody can be, is going to want to do this. You should have general information so that if something happens to you and you can't speak for yourself, you want to have identifiable information in your kit so that if you can't talk, you can give them your plastic bag that contains these papers that have personal information. Here's 3 forms here that I know that they're kind of hard to see because they're small, but I do have, we have a handout that will be on our website, and it has these forms in it so that you can use them. The first form that's on there is personal information. It contains, of course, the name, address, phone number, your date of birth, any medical conditions that you may be experiencing, any diagnoses that you currently have, allergies, any restrictions, any sensitivities that you might have to, say, chemicals or food. You should list there. Any equipment or assistive technology that you use, and any special care instructions that someone would need to know if you could not speak for yourself. Also, there's a section for legal documents. If you have a advance directive, a living will, a healthcare power of attorney, things like that, there's a section to put that information. The next form that we're going to talk about is the family and emergency contact form. This form contains information about each one of your family members and how you want them to be contacted in the case of an emergency. You should also have one out-of-town contact listed on there in case you need a place to go or someone needs to be contacted that needs to come and pick you up. Or you can't stay in the area that you're in if the hurricane is that bad and you're being evacuated, you have to have a place to go. And this way you have these numbers handy. You can call them and discuss with them what you need. Your local emergency numbers also should be included. Your police, your fire, your EMS company, the hospital, your utility company should be on there. And your primary care physician should be listed on your emergency contacts. The next form is medical equipment and supplies. These are things we might not think about in an emergency, so that's why it's good to be prepared ahead of time. If you're a wheelchair user or have any kind of equipment, maybe hearing aids or other assistive technology that helps you in your daily life, you want to make sure that you have the manufacturer written down, your warranty information, a list of which technology you're using, so that these things can be accounted for if you're evacuated or you lose them during the emergency, that they can be easily, the information can be easily accessed and you can take the steps to get those replaced. The other thing additional that is in this information kit is a medication list. You should always talk about, list your medications, your dosages, how and when you take them, and the prescribing doctor. In case you need a refill, you're going to need that information. You should list your medication allergies. If you can't speak for yourself and you have an iodine allergy, and somebody touches you with iodine or betadine to clean a wound or something, that could even worsen you or make you ill. So we want to make sure that we have that information available. And when you fill out these forms, I would suggest putting them in a, if you can't laminate them, just grab a Ziploc baggie, fold them, and put them in your emergency kit so that they're available and they're waterproofed. And then make sure that you're updating them periodically. You should be checking them monthly. If you have changes, make sure that you're updating your changes. Next slide. The next thing that you're going to want to address is financial. If you're evacuated, that means that things are pretty serious and you may not have access to a bank or an ATM. Utilities may be out and there may be no electricity, so you should have cash on hand. You should have enough available funds, either in cash or on a credit or debit card if you are traveling out of the area, to at least pay for a hotel or get you someplace safe. Also, in your emergency kit, you should list your financial accounts. If you can't get home anytime soon, and you may need to access that financial information, so you should keep a list of your accounts in with your emergency supplies. Next slide. When you get the warning, usually we'll be in a warning situation, a watch situation before the storm arrives. So you're going to want to try to secure your home and your belongings if you can. You're going to prepare your home by possibly installing storm shutters, or you're going to cover your windows with plywood or some other material that can secure your home from debris or water that may try to enter your home. Securely store all outdoor objects like your furniture, your tools, any toys that your children play with outside. You'll want to make sure that those are secure into a shed or tied down or possibly brought inside if that is needed. Next slide, please. Now, in preparing, we all want to know our evacuation routes. You're going to see signs out on the roads here in Pensacola and in the counties in Florida. I'm not sure how other states do it, but here in Florida, we have our evacuation routes are marked with the picture. We have a picture here on our slide that says evacuation route, and it's a blue sign with the white hurricane symbol on it. So you're going to want to be aware of what your nearest evacuation routes are. There are maps that the county offers that tells you which routes that you would take. So I would familiarize yourself with those routes. And if you have to evacuate, if you decide that you're going to evacuate early from the storm and you're going to leave your home, I definitely do it during the day. Do it quickly so that it's the safest time to do it is when it's daylight and you can see where you're going and you can get to where you need to go safely. Make sure that you're making a plan for your pets if you have to evacuate. Are you going to take them with you, or are you going to put them with a family member or friend? If you need to shelter them, make sure that you're vaccinations are up to date, and that your pets are going with their information as well. You should have a sheet of information about your pet and how to contact you if you have to leave them somewhere. Now, for shelter information, you can go to www.floridaevacuates.com, and more information about evacuation is listed there so that you can prepare your plan. And that is if you live in the state of Florida. So now we're going to talk about during the storm. Now, this is the scariest part, but if you can keep it together and stay calm, you're going to want to make sure that you stay calm and just do things step by step. So next slide. We're going to talk about watch versus warning. Now, on watch versus warning, before a storm, when a storm is coming into the area, the National Weather Service and other weather outlets will call it a watch. When they start seeing it on radar, depending on the strength of the storm, they are going to tell you whether it's a watch or a warning. Now, when it's a tropical storm and a hurricane, there's a difference. You're going to have either a tropical storm watch that will tell you that conditions are possible within a specified area. Now, a hurricane watch means that you have a tropical storm system that exists. When you hear that it's a hurricane watch, you should start your preparations. You should start preparing your home, start deciding whether you're going to evacuate. That's the time when you're going to have to make your quick decisions on what you're going to do. They're usually issued around 48 hours in advance, if that's possible. Sometimes storms develop very quickly, as we know in our area, and we might not get that much of a window. But I know that the National Weather Service gives us the information as soon as they can get it to us. Now, if you're hearing a tropical storm warning, that means that conditions are for sure in that area, and you need to take the steps to prepare for that type of storm. If you're hearing a hurricane warning, that means you need to move. You need to make your way to shelter. If you're going to shelter in place, if that's a decision you're going to make, great. But if you need to listen to your warnings and your weather and your indicators that tell you whether you need to evacuate or if you can stay in place, and those decisions will need to be made on the fly. So just make sure that you're getting the proper information and listening to your local news people and your National Weather Service. Now, speaking about sheltering in place, if you decide that you're going to shelter in place, it really comes down to if your local area government hasn't decided to make an executive order that says you have to evacuate, you would, number one, be violating that if you decide to shelter in place. But if that hasn't been issued and you're going to shelter in place, I'm going to give you a few tips on how to do that safely. Now, if you're in your home, you're going to want to have, of course, your emergency kit. You're going to want to make sure that you have bottled water, you have towels, you have tools. You're going to want to have definitely a flashlight and things like that. Now, if you have to evacuate, now that's a whole different story. Of course, you're going to take your disaster kit with you. You're going to call all your contacts immediately and let them know that you're evacuating and where you're going so that they know. Ready your pets, take them with you, and follow your evacuation plan, which you have already prepared in the first part of our presentation. So you would have prepared for that, so you have that ready, so you know how you're going to get out of town and where you're going. So make sure that you have that ready. Next slide. Now, should you have to shelter, go to a shelter, Of course, they're always the last resort. If you have a place to go and you have family in the area that's outside of the storm ring where it's going to be affected, it's suggested that you go to a friend or a family that is not in the storm's path. Shelter is a last resort because, of course, they are small, they're limited in capacity, and it's just more comfortable if you're in a place where you know you're familiar with. Also, most shelters are accessible for the disabled population. So you can also call ahead to find out what types of things are there, what are available, but that should be in your preparedness plan. Don't wait till the last minute. When we're in the midst of the storm, you're not going to have time to call and say, can we get there? You know, you want to be prepared as you can. Every shelter has rules. They'll be posted, so you're going to want to know what those are. Make sure you familiarize with yourself with the shelter rules the minute that you get there. And of course, no weapons, no substances like alcohol or other drug use is allowed at the shelter. If they see a weapon or you bring a weapon by mistake, they will be asking you when you arrive, and they will confiscate those things. Now the big question is, do you need a special needs shelter? If you're a person with a disability, sometimes it's hard to determine yourself if you need a special needs shelter, or can you go to a regular shelter? Just know, like we talked about before, that most shelters are accessible, and you can go to a normal shelter that everybody else would go to. The only time that you would go to a special needs shelter, let's go to our next slide, Danny, is if you are needing special care. You would contact emergency management for locations. There is one in every county usually, at least one. Of course, we would love it if there were more, but we know that there's at least one. They may refer you to a medical facility if you have serious medical issues that cannot be addressed or taken care of at the shelter. They may refer you to a medical facility. They may provide transportation to that facility, or possibly even to the shelter. You're going to want to go to your emergency websites on your counties, in your county, and check and see about this information. At a special needs shelter, they will also have electricity for your assistive technology if it's available. If it is available, it's only used for that technology. You can't like plug in a radio or use it for your toothbrush or whatever else you might have that maybe plugs in. It's only for medical equipment only, so be aware of that. And then if you travel with a caregiver, they are there to assist you, the person with the disability. So your caregiver will receive assistance once all the needs have been met of all the individuals that have special needs. Then the caregivers will receive assistance if they need it. So just be aware of that. They're kind of on the back burner until everyone else has been checked in and given assistance. Next slide. Now we're into part 3 of our presentation, which is talking about after the storm. What happens when we return home, about damage assessments and things like that. Next slide. So we're going to talk about 4 things here: our damage assessment, our insurance tips, assistance programs that are available, and talk about insurance fraud. Yes, it does exist, unfortunately. So with damages, go back one, Danny, sorry. For damage assessments, when you're returning home, just make sure that you're very careful because debris will be loose. It can be very dangerous. You're going to want to make an initial assessment, and then you're going to want to, of course, call your insurance company. Damage assessments are done by your insurance company as well. They're going to send somebody out to take a look at your home and the area and your property. And then there are assistance programs available. There's two types of assistance available. There's public assistance, which provides assistance to state, tribal, and local governments and some nonprofit organizations, and they help with debris removal, emergency protective measures, repair and replacement and restoration of publicly owned facilities, okay? Now, the individual assistance is mostly provided by FEMA, and that's on an individual case-by-case basis, and they do give low-interest loans. There may be grants available. They give survival assistance to individuals if you're in need of that. So you can go to their website and find out what they're offering for that particular area. If it's declared a disaster area, they will have programs in place to help. So you can go to FEMA.gov and find out what's put into place for your area. Now, when you're filing insurance claims, you are going to want to have, of course, your agent contact information, so that should be included in your preparedness kit. Most of your homeowner policies will cover additional living expenses, so be aware of that when you're getting homeowner policies or renter policies. If you're in an apartment, you can add those things onto your policy so that you have somewhere to go if you cannot return home. It will cover sheltering expenses up to a certain amount of money. It will cover personal items that you've lost in the storm. So you're going to want to know, you're going to need that information on how to make a claim on those things as well. We suggest not making any repairs to your home until it's been assessed by either FEMA or your insurance company, because you're not going to want to put out money that you're not going to get back. So have them assess your home first. Now, also be aware that if you suspect insurance fraud, if you get an estimate from a company and it doesn't seem right, it seems maybe too much, or you haven't gotten the work done that they promised, things like that, you can report insurance fraud to the Florida Department of Financial Services, and they have a hotline. And this information will be on the website, on our website. You can get it in the handouts. It's 800-378-0445. And they also have a online form that you can fill out to make a fraud claim and let them know what's happened. Next slide. Okay, now we get to talk about our resources and information. These are the 4 counties that our Center for Independent Living Disability Resource Center serves. We serve Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and Walton counties. And this slide just contains some information about the emergency management systems. It has the website for each county's emergency management. It has the emergency management phone number and the location of the special needs shelter in each county that we serve. For example, in Escambia County, the special needs shelter would be West Florida High School in buildings 9, buildings 25, and building 26. In Santa Rosa, the special needs shelter is at Russell Elementary School and Sims Middle School. So they have 2. In Okaloosa, the special needs shelter would be Davidson Middle School. And in Walton County, they have 2 also at Freeport High School and Walton Middle Schools. Now for disaster assistance, 2 phone numbers are listed here. For federal disaster assistance, you can call 800-621-3362. And for your state disaster assistance hotline, it's 850-815-4000. In Florida, We have a special needs registry, which helps emergency management know if they have to come to your home or you need evacuation assistance. They'll know that you have a disability, and you can register on your county website, or you can also check out floridadisaster.gov for more information on your special needs registry. I think that this is a wonderful way that it's a wonderful tool that is available to people with special needs to let emergency management know that, hey, I'm over here, I'm going to need assistance in case we are in an emergency situation. So it's good to let them know that you are going to need help. Next slide. We have some great mobile apps out there. You can go to your Google Play on your Android phone, or go to your Apple App Store and look up some of these apps. Florida Storms is a wonderful app that will tell you, information on what storms are coming up, if there's anything in your area that you need to know about. It's like a public radio emergency network that will let you know what's going on. Gas Buddy is in the event of an evacuation, you can find fuel quickly in your area, or if you're in unfamiliar areas, it's designed to help you find the nearest open gas station. Of course, FEMA has an app that will help you make claims. It has information on there. It's a multi-use smartphone application you might want to check out. Zello is a push-to-talk, and it allows you to use your phone as a walkie-talkie in the event that communication may be broken down. So if you have this with your family, you may be able to walkie-talkie with your family and they may be in another location. You can at least do a quick, hey, I'm okay, this is where I'm located. Or if you need help, you can let them know that you need help. Life 360 allows you to set a pre-programmed group text to notify people automatically as you move from place to place. So you can set who you need to notify. There's also some other apps that are American Red Cross has an information app that contains resources including disaster preparedness information, first aid information. There's also instructions in other languages, and there's tools that are downloadable from the app. There's also, of course, as we use Facebook more and more all the time and other social media apps, they do have things that are built in that you can let them know that you're okay. They have a safety check. So you can let them know, hey, I'm okay for this event that's going on. And that way, that puts a status on your Facebook and lets people know that you're okay. On this slide, there's information about Diana TIFF. She is our disaster specialist and our admin assistant here at the center. She has been a wealth of information when it comes to disaster preparedness. She prepares our information packets that we give to each of our consumers when they make an appointment with us. We give them information pertaining to what county that they live in, and Diana prepares all of that information. We call her Di, so if anybody wants to call into the center and get some information about disaster preparedness, they can talk to Di, or just get it from the independent living specialist that you may be meeting with, and they'll be able to set you up with disaster preparedness information. Next slide, Danny. Okay, here we're at our Q&A section. Actually, I was going to stop before this. I want to introduce Carolyn Growi to all of you. She is our executive director here at CIL Disability Resource Center, and she is going to talk about what she has to show you. I think it's a disaster preparedness kit, and she's going to give you a few other tips. So Carolyn, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Hello, everybody. So nice to have all of you join us today. We are trying to make sure that everybody's prepared. And so this assortment that you see here on my table is to show you a little bit about what might need to go in the kit. Some of the things that Joanne shared are here on my table. So I have an extra cane. Joanne spoke about mobility devices or other equipment you may use. And so I've put out my extra cane because if it was a storm situation and maybe my cane breaks, but I might be on my own or in a shelter for a time period, I'd want to make sure I have the extra cane available. I have the urgent medications. I didn't pack for myself in this particular case all the vitamins or calcium and vitamin D, those kinds of things, because in an emergency, I really just need the 3-day supply or 7-day supply of the medicines I must take. So being diabetic, there would be insulin and the tubing for my insulin pump. There's some different medications that my particular physicians require of me, so they're here. I have my cords for my phone and an extra battery. I just realized I did not bring out the flashlight. It's sitting on the counter by my toaster. Anyway, so the flashlight's not here, although both my extra battery and my phone could act as a flashlight. I've got some of my information in the Ziploc bag here that's on the table. I've got 3 gallons of water. I've got dry goods food, and I've also got some samples of, or not samples, but use of disposable plates and silverware and things that are behind that food. I've got an umbrella, I've got a raincoat, and then underneath the raincoat and the umbrella, the raincoat is that blue, is a bag which has most of the clothing things that I might need for the time period. But then the only thing on the table that won't fit in there is my 3 gallons of water. Everything else I could put into that one bag, so I would have a small amount to carry with me and to be able to take wherever I need to go. Remember that it's really important that you have dry goods or goods that don't have to be cooked, because otherwise you won't be able to get it. You might not be able to eat it, or it might not last. So I have over there peanut butter, granola bars, I have lifesavers, I have tuna fish, I have different kinds of things that I might need or be able to get my food groups met. So those are some of those pieces that would be there. I think what's also really important is that, and hi everybody, now you can see me. The other part that's really important related to what we do in an emergency is that every county is different. So each county's special needs shelter that Joanne was speaking of is handled very differently. So for example, here in Escambia County, they are not going to go through and look for those special needs information. So you need to make sure that you're calling to see where things are if there's an emergency happening, but they give you information on their special needs bulletin that allows you to orchestrate having your goods in order, so to speak. When you arrive at the special needs shelter, they're going to screen to see if you are the person who needs to be in that environment or not. And some individuals with disabilities do need to be so, and others do not. So we try to take a look at knowing ahead what you think your pieces are. So my example for myself is that I don't drive. And so I can't even get myself alone to the special needs shelter or to a shelter without going through the transportation company. Now, potentially there could be friends or family or individuals that live in your neighborhood, those kinds of things that could get you there. But our local transportation authority, their main number in an emergency is the number that they answer, and then they will get you assigned for a pickup. They can't guarantee when you're going to be picked up, but they can be able to let you know that they will send somebody your direction. The other piece is that if you go to the special needs shelter and you don't actually need the special needs shelter, then they will direct you to go to the next available shelter in the region of where you are. So let's just say that you went to the special needs shelter and the next closest shelter is on that side of town, then they're going to send you there, even if that's not the one that's closest to your typical environment, et cetera. And so I think it's really important to remember to know those pieces. But every county has its own plan for their special needs shelter. And so you're going to want to know that by reading the information that's about your particular county. And I, again, appreciate all the information that Joanne has shared with us today. She covered so many areas that I think each of you will find useful in your future. After you've been able to participate today, we are planning to have this recorded so that you can re-watch when you would like to. So if you are a person who's watching this in a recording later, please know that myself and our team are always here to be supportive of you. And Joanne will share more information about that at the end of the workshop today. But I just want to make sure that each of you are aware that our center is here to be helpful to each of you. So whether it's something that's minor or something that's more significant, we're here to try to help you find those needs. And so partly also after a storm, during a storm, it's much harder for the center to be engaged and involved at that particular time because of the type of services that we provide. But after a storm, if for some reason, as an example, your wheelchair was damaged during the storm and you're at the shelter, you can request the shelter to have somebody get in touch with us. Hopefully they already know that, but if you know yourself that you have equipment that you might need other assistance with, they'll be able to get in touch with us and we will provide it for you. If there's for some reason that we don't have the equipment or for some reason we are out of luck as well because of the storm, then we will be in touch with other centers that are around the state who will be helping to cover. So for example, in one of the most recent hurricanes, our center assisted with individuals being connected to resources from another county that was elsewhere in our state. In a previous scenario before that, we had sent truckloads of content of accessible equipment down to another region in South Florida. So it just depends on what happens in a particular storm to how each of us can be helpful to one another and also be able to be informed. If you also know people and friends who are places, maybe you can add to your list other ways that you can check on your friends too. Just like Joanne was sharing about the Facebook and being able to post that you're okay, that's a great piece because we certainly don't want to try to send the police to your home knowing that you're already taken care of or that you've already evacuated the community. So being able to communicate that with people you know, with your friends and family, can really make a difference. And there's so many more things, and I know that we could spend an all-day session talking about some of these pieces, and we certainly welcome you to reach out to any of our independent living specialists as well as Di, like Joanne shared, or to Joanne, or to the center at large and make requests for things that you may need or know that you would like to have shared with others. And so what I'd like to do right now is I'm going to transfer the speaking time over to our colleague from Florida Storms, Florida Storm Troopers, and that is Laura George. So would you all, Laura George, she's going to give you some background about their organization and ways that you can follow and be involved with them as well. So thank you very much for participating today. And now, Laura, you are up.
Hello. Yes, I'm both with Florida Storm Troopers and with National Council on Independent Living Emergency Preparedness Committee. With Florida Storm Troopers, they're a weather alert reporting organization working directly with the National Weather Service and part of Weather Ready Nation. All their team members must have FEMA certification, Skywarn certification, Storm Spotter certification, and internal training. And we are working nationally for the disability training as well. In Florida, and I'm actively training others as well, we're taking the Facebook posts, and for the graphics, we are making them both larger where the programming allows and doing graphic to text for those who need that. We are also intensely working on captioning for the videos, and in fact, National Weather Service in Tampa is very friendly to that. That's the weather side of things. Yes, it's supposed to be an active season. Don't wait until they discuss the hurricane to prepare for it. Prepare now, and have your kit ready. So that way, if you need to, you can be up and ready to leave in about 2 hours, which is what I've set my home and my family to be able to do, is to be up and ready to leave in 2 hours. Just to jump back, in terms of letting everybody know where you are, another thought to that would be is pick one person to be your hurricane plan, as I call it, and have maybe 3 or 4 people service that. So when you're preparing for the hurricane, and if you have to evacuate, You're not spending all day on the phone. You have that one person to coordinate through, and they can go and call everyone on your behalf. That way it frees you up to focus more on what you need to do. Don't forget, if you are in a power chair, to bring your charging battery. That is a huge complaint I heard of in Florence. Also, if you're having trouble evacuating and can't, call the Independent Living Center, call the emergency management agencies, call the police department if you have to. If need be, call me. I'll be happy to try and help arrange something. The other thing too, sorry, I know I'm out of order. When you're first preparing and you're creating that sheet of information, make sure you note your blood type, if there are rods in you, whether they're stainless steel or titanium. Make sure that they note, you know, maybe if English isn't naturally your first language and there's another language, what your first language is. If there's some cultural concerns, like I know Jehovah's Witness has issues concerning blood, you want to note that all in your paperwork as well. Wait a minute, there was something else I wanted to note too. Oh, when you pack your clothing and so forth, go ahead and put it in your car as well, like 1 or 2 pairs, not much more than that. And here's something else that I heard of, and I'm still in contact with a friend of mine due to Michael in Panama City. And she said, the one thing I didn't really plan for was to be with no technology and no access to anybody for a week. And an ideal plan covers for that. An ideal plan has not just one vein, but 3. 3 for staying at home, 3 for going somewhere, 3 for people you're going to use. Never set it up with just with one. Maybe somebody has lost someone. Maybe somebody's at work. Maybe their house isn't available because something happened. Always think in terms of 3 and having several layers of plans. I know I had a few more thoughts, but that should give you a few bits and pieces to go off of.
Thank you, Laura, for sharing those tips. If someone wanted to get in touch with you or with your organization, how would they go about doing that?
For Florida Stormtroopers, they can send me a message directly on the Florida Stormtrooper Hurricane Weather page or via Florida Stormtroopers and just put attention Laura. Or you can use my email address, which is Laura George, EMDL, Emergency Management Disability Liaison. So Laura George, EMDL @gmail.com. Or you can call me at 770-330-5653.
Thank you so much, Laura, for sharing with us. I know that you are driving, so we will go ahead and let you go unless you want to stay for Q&A. I want you to be safe on the road.
Actually, you guys timed it well. I'm in a rest area. That's why you're not hearing too much in the background. So
Wonderful, wonderful. And we're going to move on to our question and answer section. If anybody has any questions, please type your questions in the chat box, and Danny, our tech host, will field those to me or to whoever needs to answer those. And also, if you wouldn't mind, to put your email in the chat box so that we can send you the information handout and also a short evaluation on today's workshop. Thank you so much for attending, and we're going to take a look at what we have in our question box. Danny, do we have any questions?
Well, Joanne, I think you did such a wonderful job. There are no questions in the chat box. I don't know if anybody has anything they would like to ask. If they want to unmute, they can certainly do that now.
Okay, we'll wait a moment and see if anybody has any questions, and then we'll move on to ending our workshop.
looks like all is well.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for attending our easy tips for hurricane preparedness. And as Carolyn said, the center, you know, if you have a disability, please give us a call at the center. We have many independent living specialists here, like Danny. We have Karen and Susan that can, and Tavara that can help with getting you fixed up with whatever you might be needing. If you have goals, preparing for a hurricane, we have so many different services that we can offer, including assistive technology, phones for the hearing impaired, if you're hard of hearing. So please check us out on our website. Danny, want to move on to the next slide for our contact information?
There we go.
And here is how to contact us here at the Disability Resource Center, CIL Disability Resource Center. We're located on the corner of Herman and North Pace Boulevard at 3600 North Pace Boulevard in Pensacola. Our telephone number is 850-595-5566. The Sorensen VRS number is 850-208-3106. And of course, we do use the relay at 711. Our fax number is 850-595-5560. And our website is www.cil-drc.org. We have Facebook pages that you can look us up on. And we also have a donation campaign where you can text in all caps, give CIL, all one word, to 44321. Thank you again for joining us today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at info@cil-drc.org. And we'll be happy to answer those questions for you, or you can always call us on the phone. If you would like to receive a transcript of this presentation, also the handouts and slides and the information kit will be available on our website for download at your convenience. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.